So, to wrap up the weekend, I managed to sleep through breakfast on Saturday. It was a bad start. That was a bad start to what was going to be a pretty shocking weekend as far as following Scott&Callum's healthy lifestyle philosophy goes. So I slept through breakfast, Saturday lunch, had lunch here at college, that was alright, that wasn't too bad. Following on from that, Saturday afternoon I was heading out to Angus Cameron's 21st in the middle of nowhere. It was out very far east Gippsland sort of way. So I went out there with a carload of people, that was good. On the way, given it was about a 4-hour trip, we did make a few stops, including like to Coles. There was some chocolates bought, as well as some chips which were eaten on the trip way down there. We also called in, we passed my mum's house, so on the way I called in to say hi to mum. May have had a number of cheeses, including some brie cheese, some cheddar, some dips as well as some olive dips. Which they're like some of my favourite foods. Like if I were to be just at home myself and had to plan dinner for something just for myself, that is what I would eat. That is my favourite sort of dinner. So when it's served up to me, you don't really get that at college too often. So I thought, hey, I'm going to have some of this. So about half an hour later, after just eating and stuff there for a while, really grazing at the food there, we jumped back into the car and continued on. A few others I was travelling with, like Alex, Jude and Morgan, they wanted to call in for some Nando's for a more substantial meal in Traralgon. So I stopped there, but I thought, hey, I've just had pretty much a dinner and I'm probably going to eat a little bit more later on in the evening. I wouldn't have the Nando's. So I went in and just didn't have the Nando's, had a drink instead. Just some Diet Coke, I believe, Diet. So I thought that was quite good. Just having an extra meal that the others thought necessary, but I knew wasn't. So we continued on the trek, managed to get to Angus's. I was driving home that night, so I didn't do any drinking at all, except for some Pepsi Max on the way there. Unfortunately, Angus, it's not Angus's fault, but there was no diet variety cola available, so I did have to have a can or two of full-strength Coke. Unfortunately, I was told afterwards that there was Diet Coke available. I just couldn't find it. It was pretty dark. I am going to blame it on that as to why I couldn't find it. So, yeah, managed to do that. On the way home, so we left about 1:30am, heading back to Trinity. On the way back, did stop in at McDonald's. I may have had 6 McNuggets from McDonald's on the way back with some barbecue sauce, which isn't too bad. I think as far as McDonald's foods go, I thought the McNuggets would be like one of the better options. Turns out I just spilled them everywhere and the sauce just made a huge mess in the car, all over the steering wheel. It's not really good at all, so that was a poor choice. Further along the trip, we did call in. There's a 24-hour drive-through Krispy Kreme at Narre Warren, and so by this stage it was probably about 3:30am. We thought it was a good idea at that stage. We were hungry. We were after some sugars to keep us going for the last three-quarters of an hour till we got home. So we called in for some Krispy Kreme. I don't think I'd ever felt as fat and disgusting in my life as going through a drive-through Krispy Kreme, ordering donuts. Yeah, it was quite disgusting. And I think just in itself, that just kind of epitomises why something like 56% of Australians are overweight or obese. Things like this, the drive-through donut shop. I mean, honestly, what are they thinking? So that was my Saturday night. Sunday, managed to sleep through breakfast again. So the whole attending all meals at college really has proved to be difficult for me. But then from that, things really picked up Sunday more throughout the middle of the day. Got worse later on, but I'll tell you about that in a sec. But in the middle of the day, I went to Body Pump, did an hour workout there. That was really good. Upped my weights a little bit. I was happy. And ate just a normal lunch here at Trinity. Had the normal dinner and played a bit of squash. I'd never played squash. Playing squash, I never realised how much of a sport squash actually is. I always thought squash to be more like a table tennis sort of sport. So, which again, if anyone plays table tennis, you're probably going to say, well, it is a sport. But to me, I used to see squash as just like a table tennis sort of non-sport sport. Turns out it's quite an active sport. I was really surprised. It was the first time I think I'd ever watched a game of squash played, and then I played myself. I was impressed with the game, and I'm considering getting into it a little bit more than I am now, which would just be doing it once every now and then. But I'm certainly considering doing that. I know throughout this coming week, Scott's going to be leading a squash session, so maybe I'll join him on that and see how I go with that. But so that was the squash. That was all good. And then Look, there was this Fez theme party last night that the Trinity International Students Club was organising, and I wasn't going to go, but instead I thought, look, I will go just for a brief period. Just everyone was coming back. It was a good social opportunity, really. I had a lot of fun. I went down there, and the food that they had was like amazing. They had dips. I mean, so just earlier I mentioned how much I love dips and things like that. So I had these dips with that Turkish bread and such, which was nice, as well as they had these like skewers with meat on them. But the amount of meat they had on each skewer could have fed a family. Like, it was packed with meat. So I did have about 3 of those dipped into like this dipping sauce that came with them. So look, there was a lot of meat, a lot of food eaten. I probably had more at the party than I did for dinner. That was how much food I ate. Probably not necessary whatsoever. I also did have a mojito or 2. So pretty much it didn't do too well. But thankfully so look, that was the day. Don't know much to happen about thankful, but I mean I got some work done later in the evening, and that really wraps up my weekend. But yeah, so overall, the weekend, it also wraps up week 1 or week 0 of Scott&Callum's Healthy Lifestyle Philosophy, and it's a good way to prepare ourselves for what I can imagine is going to be a challenging week this week. Challenging against Scott to see who's going to be the winner out of this competition, as well as getting the rest of the college on board. So I'm looking forward to it. I'm now I've prepared a fair bit, except for the waking up early in the morning, and I'm feeling quite confident that I'll win this challenge. Cheers.